just going to talk you through the lead arrangement that I use for probably, I reckon, about 95% of my fishing. So it's a helicopter setup on Leadcore. There's a few things really that I like about a helicopter setup. And one is the adaptability that it gives you. So dependent on the lake bed, whether I'm fishing gravel, whether I'm fishing a clay spot, whether I'm fishing a spot that's got a bit of silt on it. The lovely thing about a Leadcore helicopter setup is the fact that you can adjust your top bead to counteract that. So if I'm fishing on gravel, I'll have the bead set right down at the bottom. If I'm fishing in weed or silt, I can easily, with just a couple of seconds, move that bead up and I can counteract the possibility of the lead plugging into the bottom. The other main reason that I use a heli setup is because I'm very often using a stiff hook link, or at least a hook link that's got some sense of stiffness in it. And the main difference between a helicopter and something like a lead clip or an inline setup is that you've got this small amount of flexibility basically between your lead and that top stop. And that just gives your hook link much more possibility to lay flat. And like I said, the fact that you can move that top bead up as well just allows even more possibility to make sure that your hook link is lay flat. Historically, I'd always used really quite long Leadcore setups, but actually over the last couple of years I've been shortening them down and down and down further, almost just to sort of a foot or so now, or sometimes even actually only a couple of inches longer than my hook link itself. There's a couple of reasons for that. The last couple of years I've been fishing absolutely crystal clear pits, really weedy and just gin clear. And using fluorocarbon on those, I'd often felt that actually the shorter the length of Leadcore, the better. Often fishing little holes in the weed, little clear spots and things like that, you know, with the line potentially, no matter how slack it is, kind of draped up out of the back of the spot, even on spots with good line lay into them. So just using a shorter length and then going straight onto my fluorocarbon, dotted down with a couple of bits of putty, is how I've been liking to fish that in the last couple of years. As I've got this set up now, I've only got a little lead on here, 2-ounce lead. It's perfect for kind of, open water fishing. I've got a clip on there so that lead isn't going to drop. For quite a bit of my own fishing, I do like using a bigger lead, 4-5 ounce, really kind of set the hook, especially where I'm fishing weedy waters. I've been testing some of the new Thinking Anglers C-clips, which just drop the lead. Basically, as soon as the carp has given a couple of big head shakes, the lead's coming off, they're coming up in the water, and you've got a much, much better chance of getting those in. So the components that make up this rig, obviously the Leadcore itself is the key component of that. This is a 45-pound olive camo Leadcore that I've been lucky enough actually to have access to for the last couple of years to test. It's got a lovely tight weave to it, really easy to splice, and most importantly is the colour itself. So instead of just being a solid colour all the way through, say all green or all brown or all silt coloured, no spot on a lake bed, when you look in the margins or you're looking at spots from trees, no spots are of a consistent kind of colour and tone. There's always variations, darker patches, little lighter patches. And what this Leadcore does beautifully, being broken with darker patches and lighter patches all the way down the length of it, it means that it just disappears very, very nicely into the bottom. Undoubtedly one of the best Leadcores that I've used for that in terms of camo. So how I set it up is really simple. So at the bottom end, it's spliced just to a quick clip underneath there that obviously the lead's gone onto. This is one of the new tungsten beads that we've been testing again for the last year or so. Integral bead and a sleeve together, which is really nice. So you've got a lovely kind of smooth, streamlined finish there down to the lead. I've got the double ring flexi swivel on there, really nice when I'm using the stiffer hook links, so I don't have to put another loop into the end. And then the top bead, these really handily as well, come attached to a little puller that you can just thread the whole bead and the rubber on as one. I think one of the problems people sometimes have with Leadcore and bead setups is potentially using the wrong size silicone with the wrong size bead, so they may be too tight or too loose. As these come together as an integral setup, means you've got absolutely no problems and it's set just right. At the other end, just a simple spliced loop, and that's how I set up my Leadcore. So learning how to tie your own is a huge advantage because you can tailor your setup to exactly how you want it. So for 95% of my fishing, this is my go-to setup, whether I'm spot fishing and I'm fishing, you know, rock hard gravel spots, or if I'm opportunist fishing, just fishing for a drop, casting at shows, something like that. What I love most about a heli setup is the adaptability. Superb setup, pretty much whatever the situation.